In spring of 2024, I traveled to Ghana with the Catlin Global Education Program. This experience taught me about the legacy of colonialism and challenged what I knew about power, history, and narratives. As a result of that experience, I'm proposing a monument to Yaa Asantawaa, once the Queen Mother of Ejisu in the Ashanti Empire, now part of modern-day Ghana. But this won't be like most monuments. It will be a living legacy to resistance, female leadership, and self-determination. There are two key terms important to this proposal. Public knowledge refers to the shared values and information constructed and circulated by society. Here you'll see our class's shared definition. Collective memory is a group's shared understanding of past events, often shaped by monuments and narratives which memorialize what we value. Public knowledge and collective memory are deeply connected. As Foucault explains in his Modalities of Power, power dynamics shift what we remember, what we forget, and who is allowed to speak. For this project, I analyzed Ghanaian history from a post-colonial historiographical lens, examining the impact of colonialism to challenge traditional Eurocentric narratives. Starting in the 15th century, the Dutch, Portuguese, Danish, and British all established trading ports within current-day Ghana, then known as the Gold Coast, including the Ashanti Empire, Fante Confederacy, and the Dagbon Kingdom. By the 20th century, through military action and increased economic control, the Gold Coast became a British colony. At the same time, European missionaries introduced Western ideologies and infrastructure. They portrayed Ghanaians as uncivilized and primitive, using othering to undermine pre-existing beliefs. This has had long-term impact on indigenous identity. Alongside civilizing attempts, Europeans also gained profit by extracting resources such as palm oil, cocoa, and gold through exploitation and forced labor. Many of these systems remain in place today, where profit goes to overseas markets rather than stay in the local economy. Finally, Ghana's role as a major location for transatlantic slave trade cannot be minimized as an important piece of history. Sites such as Elmina and Cape Coast Castle serve as horrific remembrance of the inhumanity and brutality of over 12 million people transported to the Americas as slaves. The residual effects of hegemony continue to have a major impact on Ghana's culture and infrastructure. During colonization, the British sought dominance by stripping the Ashanti of their identity through sovereign power. A notable example is the War of the Golden Stool. The stool is a powerful symbol of prosperity for the Ashanti, and said to have descended from the heavens during the founding of the empire. After successfully exiling the Ashanti king and many other male leaders, the British demanded the stool be surrendered to them. While the remaining leaders debated how to respond, Yaa Asantawaa rallied an army to fight. She famously declared, "If you, the men, do not go to war, then we, the women, will. We will not allow the stool to fall into the hands of the enemy." Her story lives on in the collective memory of West Africa, not just as a tale of resistance, but as a symbol of sovereignty and female leadership. For this project, I interviewed Kama Bruce, our assistant head of school. Kama's father immigrated to the United States from Ghana in the 1960s. Kama lived in Ghana as a child and grew up learning the culture and stories in his home. Kama recounts his own first memories of Yaa Asantawaa.
I remember my dad saying, when you want to understand the strength of a society, follow what the women are doing. And that was the first sort of story that I heard when he was like, yeah, this is what, standing up in resistance should look like.
My original idea for this project was a statue of Yaa Asantawaa in Accra's Independence Square. But my conversation with Kama helped me realize this would reinforce the colonial frameworks I hope to counteract. This is because Ghana itself is a colonial invention, its borders and national identity shaped by the British. A statue in a capital city is a form of disciplinary power. It solidifies a single, government-sanctioned narrative. As the urge to remember reading emphasizes, memorials must be shaped by those who lived the history. By prioritizing lived experience, community voices, and local needs, disciplinary power is disrupted, and this begins the process of anothering. That is why I am proposing a memorial in the form of an annual grant, the Yaa Asantawaa Leadership Grant for Girls. It would award 2 female students up to $5,000 per year in tuition, fees, and housing for attendance at a Ghanaian college or university. An additional award of $2,500 will support a local project or social initiative to be conceived and led by the recipient. Female Ghanaian leaders will serve as mentors during the grant period. As referenced in Monument as a Form of Collective Memory and Public Knowledge, since monuments are a form of collective memory, they reconstruct the past in such a way that they are taking part in the present and the future. Creating a living memorial will build a legacy to Yaa Asantawaa that she and the Ashanti would recognize, a tribute to courage, resilience, and leadership. Opponents may ask, why girls? Why schools in Ghana? In Ghana, women face significant educational barriers, which are also the byproduct of biopower. Economic hardship, early marriage, and gender expectations limit access to higher education. Fewer than 30% of university faculty are women. Supporting Ghanaian girls helps balance these inequalities. Further, the British used pastoral power to frame European systems, language, religion, and more as superior. This has been internalized by many Ghanaian students who aspire to attend universities in England. By incenting students to attend Ghanaian universities, we resist the colonial trend of idealizing the West and reinforce Ghana's own intellectual infrastructure. This proposal was shaped by interviews with Kama Bruce, who grew up immersed in Ghanaian stories, personal experience traveling in Ghana, and research as a global historian. Before launching this grant, I would seek input from local educators, female leaders, and historians to ensure it aligns with community needs. The Yaa Asantawaa Leadership Grant for Girls does more than memorialize. It empowers and it resists colonial legacy by creating paths for Ghanaian women to lead their communities. As we've learned in class, collective memory and public knowledge are never neutral. It's shaped by who holds power, who gets heard, and who is willing to listen. My proposal is not just to remember Yaa Asantawaa, but to channel her spirit through the lives of future leaders.
I mean, everything we talked about today really goes back to that. Is like, what are the kids being taught? If you're taught to believe that you're less than, then you'll just continue to reify that, even though the person who subjugated you isn't in the room. And that continues. So how do we get out of that? And how do you make the monument, the symbology represent the potential that you have as a group of people? And how do you get the world to participate in that?
This is anothering in action and how history is decolonized. Not just by remembering differently, but by doing differently. I ask for your support in creating the Yaa Asantawaa Leadership Grant for Girls. Thank you for your consideration.